Hey guys, this is attorney Shakeena Melbourne, principal attorney of Upton Law, PLLC. We're here because we did a Q&A thing trying to figure out what are some of the things or even potential clients would be interested in knowing about me before hiring me, right? One of the biggest things people always ask was, what was your law school journey like? Or what was your legal journey from start to where you are today? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what pursued me is an interesting story though, because I don't actually know the answer to the question. I have a story where my mom tells where around between 3 years old or so, she comes into my room and discovered that I was playing with my dollies and my beer. That doesn't sound crazy, right? But what she said is that I have a desk in my room and I'm on one side of the desk. Barbie's on the left, the bear is on the right, and apparently I'm being the judge on who ate the candy. And this is when my parents discovered I may have an interest in the law. But no one in our family has any background in the law enforcement, judges, attorneys, anything like that. So we didn't know where the thought process came from, but my parents were interested in entertaining me. So we would go to the library or find books, watch TV shows, learning about the law and my interest in it. So then by the age of 7, I had a substitute teacher that came in class, right? So we're probably in like 2nd grade. And the substitute teacher says, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And apparently I said, I want to be a judge. I don't know if I want to be a judge, but that was my answer. And she says, well, if you want to be a judge, do you know what kind of schooling you need to do to become a judge? No, I'm in 2nd grade. Of course I don't. So even though she was a substitute, she was one of the after school program advisors as well. And so we would go for a couple of weeks going to the computer, the library, and figuring out what all schooling I needed to do to become this judge. And so as a result of that, we discovered, okay, of course I had to go through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and then law school. So we actually wrote it out, and I considered that the plan of my life. And I would follow that entire plan since 2nd grade. So by the time I get to law school, I am 20, going on 21. And I finished law school by 24 and completed my master's of law by 25.
School.
So undergrad was actually an interesting process to me because my high school had a program where in our senior year in high school, we could actually be working on college classes and getting college credit. So by the time I finished my senior year in high school, I was actually already completed my first year of college. So when I get to university, I'm only there for 3 years. During that 3-year period, I'm in a pre-law program. So, because again, since 2nd grade, this was my plan, right? So I end up going to meet with a pre-law advisor, and I found it to be so interesting. So we're walking from one side of the school to another side, and he goes, so tell me, what's your GPA? And I'm like, oh, it's a 3.5. And he goes, okay. And tell me why you want to go to law school again? Because it's my dream, it's my goal. Yeah, so that's not enough, and you probably shouldn't go to law school because your GPA isn't high enough. What? No, oh my gosh, I've been getting A's and B's my entire life and barely B's, if that. And he says, you're not smart enough to go to law school. And I said, yeah, right. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? What? Oh, that was it. That was my motivation. I was going to go to law school just because he said I couldn't go. So after college was over, you're in your final year, you're looking to go. I'm saying, all right, I'm going to law school. And ideally, I wanted to go to law school in California, not that far from home. I had my dream school, and I was put on their wait list. And I was like, no, devastation, right? Because I'm at home for the summer for the first time in 3+ years, and I'm like, summer at home do not look the same. In the movies, during the summer, people was traveling and stuff. I'm at home trying to wait on my big letter to come in the mail that I'm going to law school. And instead, I'm getting all the small letters adding me to their wait list. So there was a website that you can go to and put your GPA in and put your area of schooling or what you liked or something like that. And they'll give you a list of all these schools that you could consider. And so my mom was so concerned because she's like, well, if you get waitlisted in California, what are you going to do? I'm going to culinary school. And my dad is like, absolutely not. You're going to get in. You have to keep trying. You know what I mean? Don't give up. I'm like, okay, fine. So I would go to this website, put the GPA in, put in my interests or areas of law, and Cooley Law School showed up in Lansing, Michigan. And my thought process was, I'm going to law school, so it don't really matter where I go. The benefit to Cooley, I thought, was that Cooley also had a dual program. So I was doing my JD, or my Juris Doctorate, getting my law degree. At the same time, all of my electives were set up to get my Master's of Law in Corporate and Finance. So this is how I liked, or this is what made me prefer Cooley, is simply because I could do both degrees at the same time. And I already knew by then that I had an interest in helping small business owners. But I wasn't going to go back to undergrad and get a business degree because they said you had to go take some additional math classes. It's going to be a no for me. So, yeah, no. What are my alternatives? So I could go and get a Master's of Business Law and be able to help small business owners. Sounds great. Count me in. And that's how I got to law school. So my first day of law school was actually scary to me. My mom, myself, and my aunt actually flew from California a week before school started because we could only really afford one plane ticket across the U.S. from California to Michigan to a city that we've never been to and a state we've never been to. In fact, I had even found my apartment online and never even seen it and signed the lease because this was going to be the best transition and law school is going to start and life is going to be great. Yeah, I forgot the fact that I don't have no car because my dad was so concerned that Michigan snowed and we thought we had to put chains on the tires on my little used car. So he's like, just leave it here. Yeah, so I have no car and I'm walking to school, my first day of school. I'm nervous because I know no one and nothing. And I end up being one of the last people in class that day. So my first class was criminal law. I don't like criminal law. And the last seat in class was in the front row. And I'm two seats over because there's a young lady to my left who we're still friends today. Hey, girlfriend. And we end up building a relationship from that point forward to the point that we still talk as of today. I've gone to her wedding, seen the kids, the husband, you know, and we built a whole rapport off of our first day of school. She loved criminal law, so it was great because I could kind of help. She helped me study, put it like that. Yeah, these questions are getting real serious for my life. Okay. So, one of the biggest things that people always ask is how do you do work-life balance? They ask you that in law school and they ask you when you get out. There's no such thing, okay? It depends on the day of the week. My personal life completely crashed during law school, so I didn't really have one. And what happened is law school became school, a lifestyle, a job, anything you could think of, law school comprised of. And because all of my family and friends was in California and I'm in Michigan, there's also a 3-hour time difference. So when I wanted to talk to them in the evenings, they were either still at work or getting ready to go to the club. Because remember, I'm 21 in law school. Oh my gosh. And everybody living their best life, turned up, club ready, body banging, booty popping, and I am looking at the white walls in my apartment with no car and no friends. Like, why am I here? This was a process. But it worked out, you see that? It worked out. It was just a sacrifice for that time period in my life. In law school, at the time I go to law school is during the middle of the recession. The big, housing boom, bust, buying balloon situation shit. And so as part of that process, when I started Cooley, it was 3,000 students that started at the same exact time. So the classes were broken down into 3 segments to allow enough students to get the resources they needed. Well, what also part of that process was a mentorship concept. So you had a teacher who would be like a mentor, a counselor to you. And in my situation, I had a wills and trust professor that ends up being my mentor. Well, she was fantastic, so much so that even after law school was over and I would get an estate planning case, I would be able to send her an email and ask questions about documents or ask questions about making sure I understood what a document said as it related to estate planning. And so the mentorship relationship was built from there, and it still is working today.